My name is Zay. I've just finished 3 years at Downing College, Cambridge, and I did history.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. So, I mean, first of all, can you maybe talk to me? This is unrelated to the questions I was going to ask, but how did you find finishing this year uh, in light of the whole situation?
It was kind of weird. Like you're doing the most important exams of your life and you're sat at your kitchen table. And then once you're finished, it's like you're alone in the flat and you're like, I've just finished a whole degree. So a bit anticlimactic, but it was good. It was good. Better than I would have expected it to. And yeah, I've really enjoyed my time at Downing. So it's done and I'm kind of sad about it, but
Do you have any celebrations planned with college at all? Or no?
they're doing like a fake graduation because we've already technically graduated, but they're planning like a ceremony when mass gatherings are allowed again. So hopefully I'll be able to celebrate with my friends pretty soon, maybe next year.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, can you maybe start off by saying what is your favorite thing about Downing and why?
My favorite thing is probably like the atmosphere in that everyone lives together. All the years live on one big campus, and it means that there's lots of inter-year interaction. So you
Okay.
just kind of walk around, you go into the cafe, you go to the library, and you know everyone. Because I think a lot of the other colleges have different years living in separate parts of the city, whereas Downing has everyone on site all the time. So you get to know the freshers and the second years and the third years. So it feels like a proper Downing community, which I really like. I think that's probably my favourite thing.
Yeah, so maybe you can talk about the cafe and the library. Like, how do those spaces mean that they're like a social hub? Is it just because of the people, or is it the way that these places are like laid out?
They're all on site, so it's kind of people go to the cafe to work or to procrastinate working,
Mhm.
and you go to the library to work or again procrastinate working because everyone is always around doing their work because Downing is so social within itself, and a lot of people's main friends are within college. You do end up just kind of walking around, having a chat, knowing people. If you want to do a round of the library and chat to people before you have gather the strength to like open your laptop and do your essay, it's quite nice that we have those spaces as kind of social hubs.
Yeah, so I mean, that's fair enough. And I feel like there's, I don't know what the reputation is of Downing College. Did you know anything about the reputation of Downing College before you went? Like you said, it's a social college, but did you know that?
No, not really. I think on the open day, I got so confused because you just walk into a lot of buildings, a lot of pretty old buildings, and they
Yeah.
all kind of look the same. And I went into Downing, and it's really beautiful college, massive open spaces, but it's kind of different. The architecture is different. It's neoclassical. They advertise it as like the oldest of the new and the newest of the old. It's built
Yeah,
in like
yeah, I heard that.
yeah. And I think I just walked in and I liked the tour guide that I got given, and it just looked quite nice. So I was like, I'll apply here. This one, I actually remember this one, and I can differentiate it from the rest. But in terms of the actual reputation of Downing, it is very social. It has that reputation. People say it's quite insular. I haven't made my experience insular. I don't think I've joined a lot of like university-wide societies, so I know a lot of people out of college as well as in college. But I think Downing is a very comfortable place. So if you wanted to just have college friends, you could. It's very sporty. Loads of really good rowing team, good football team, rugby team, netball, women's netball team. I was on that. Um, what else? I don't know if there's anything else specific that I'd attach to the reputation of Downing. There's no like, it's not particularly academic or anything.
Mhm.
It's pretty relaxed, I'd say.
Yeah, so you mentioned the sportiness. Like, is that like competitively sporty, or is that just like community kind of feel sporty? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a mix because there's a lot of really sporty people, and the rowing lot are like very very into their rowing. But it like no a lot of people who join rowing. I never did it, but a lot of people who start rowing at university have never done it before. So it's very welcoming. So if you want to try something new, it's very chill. Same with football, rugby, netball. You don't have to be really good. If you're really good, then you probably go to university standard.
Yeah.
But you can be quite bad and still like have a good time playing netball at the weekends. If you just want to like exercise once a week, there's stuff like mixed lacrosse as well. Like very few people have played lacrosse before they come, but
Yeah.
I gave it a go and it's just quite fun. Pretty
Yeah,
chill. It's
how did you find getting involved in sport at Downing? Like, can you remember any memorable experiences that you really enjoyed?
I didn't do a whole lot. I played like netball a couple of times a term, and I think that's my favorite thing about it. You don't have to commit. It's just dipping in and out. Um, there's a nice gym. Well, no, it's not that nice. It's all right. It's like quite dated equipment, but there's a room next to it which has mirrors, which is really good for dancing. I'm a dancer. So there's not much of that at college level, but there is lots of chill sport to participate in at college level. And then if you get into anything, you can participate at like a higher commitment outside of college.
Yeah, I got you. I think that's kind of the vibe that you get from like sports at both Oxbridge colleges, like in Oxford and in Cambridge, that it's more about fun. And then if you're really serious about something, you continue it to uni level.
Definitely.
So yeah, you mentioned about like not really remembering other places that you looked around at Downing. Like, I mean, when you went to visit Cambridge, but can you remember any ones at all? And can you maybe talk about why you rejected them and decided not to apply there?
I remember being scared by some other colleges because they had a scholars ballot, which is basically if your accommodation is decided based on the grades that you get in your exams. So if you do well on your exams, you get to choose your room first. So it means that if you got a really high first, you get a really nice room, and if you didn't do as well in your exams, you don't get as nice a room. And that was quite a lot of pressure, and I really didn't like that. So I deliberately opted for a college that doesn't do that. And Downing is not, academically, it's not pressuring at all. Well, it depends on like who you have as your supervisors and stuff, but the environment is not like very academic or pressurizing, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose at Cambridge and Oxford, the workload is intense anyway. Like, you don't necessarily need that extra bit from
Yeah.
it, I don't think. So can you maybe tell me then, how is accommodation organised then at Downing if it's not by the scholars ballot?
It is a random ballot, kind of. So you can ballot with your friends in a group of 6. I think it's changing for coronavirus, but it should go back to normal soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's so you get a group of 6 friends or less together, and you can ballot together. So they come up with a random list of names. But if you ballot with your friends, you're as a group, so you can pick all at the same time. And then the list is the order of in which people are allowed to pick their rooms. So at the top, the best rooms or the cheapest rooms or whatever you are looking for in a room go first. And then the lower down, you've got less choice of rooms, basically. But it's nice because you can make sure that you at least have the choice to live with your friends.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's another thing that definitely probably improves the social atmosphere of the
Yeah.
college. I mean, we don't really have that at my college, so yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's, I don't know, a lot more of a social thing. It's at my college, it's set up like basically have this random ballot, but like you can't ballot together in groups, meaning that if one of your best mates is really really low on the ballot, it's like mega unlikely that you're both going to be able to live next to each other, which is kind of, yeah. So I mean, can you talk a bit about like the rooms that you've had then over the 3 years, and if you've had any problems with your accommodation at all?
Downing accommodation is amazing. Like I think it's probably hands down the best in Cambridge. It's like across the board. Double beds. Downing is famous for having a lot of double beds. I think most of the rooms, or at least over half of the rooms, have double beds. It is expensive though, so that is something to bear in mind. They say that they have rooms ranging from like 110 a week to like 210 a week, but there's very few which are at the lower end of the range. But you do get what you pay for. The rooms are amazing. In first year, I had a double bed with an ensuite. They treat the freshers really nicely, really nice rooms and freshers. The second year, I had probably not as nice a room, but I had a single bed, and then I had another like pull-out single bed alongside it, so I could make a massive double bed.
You make a double bed anyway.
Yeah. And then in my final year, I didn't have an ensuite, but I had a really nice double room again. So I've been spoiled.
Wow, that sounds like literally living the luxury. Like, honestly, I had NAF accommodation at St Anne's in Oxford for my first year, but I mean next year hopefully it'll be better, but no double beds. at all.
Mm.
All single bed accommodation for all 3 years. So you're really lucky there. I don't know, like, how does that compare though to other college accommodation in Cambridge? Like, do you have any friends in other colleges? And could you
Yeah,
accommodation?
they still have nice accommodation, but I think it's more varied. Like Downing is pretty nice across the board.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like huge, massive rooms, and there's no tiny, tiny rooms, I'd say.
Okay.
Whereas in other colleges, I've seen people with like massive, massive rooms, but they're probably not as nice. And I've seen people with like really quite bad rooms. So it's just, I think it varies massively. And the good thing about Downing is that there's a lot of you're probably going to get a nice room.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, do you have kitchens with that? Or, I mean, what's the eating situation at Downing? Like, could you talk about how much you eat in hall or if you cook for yourself?
It's really easy to cook for yourself. I think we've probably again got the best kitchens. We've got ovens, which is a luxury, which I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
realise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got ovens, hobs, plenty of fridges and freezers, lots of storage space. It's very easy to cook for yourself in most of the rooms if you want to, and that's what I mostly do. But we do have a dining hall, which we call slops. I don't know why, it kind of sounds gross, but it's really nice food. And that is, again, it's a nice social thing. This pattern of like Downing people will just walk from the library in groups and go to hall, and then they'll just trudge back to the library, and it's just a nice like break in the middle of the day. It's not it's not too expensive, but it's not the cheapest hall you'll get around. I know at some colleges you'll get a full meal for like £2 to £3. You probably won't at Downing, more like 4 or 5. But it's still nice food and a really nice social thing, which a lot of people go to. So if you don't want to cook, you don't have to.
I mean, what makes the food so nice? Like, do you have loads of options, or is just like variety of meals?
Yeah, there's loads of options, especially for like recently for vegans and vegetarians. There's also an option for halal meat,
Oh,
which you can order in advance, which is really great. That's the work of BME officers who have campaigned for that. I think there might be kosher options too, but I'm less sure about that.
mhm.
But it's catering is always very ready to like expand their food horizons. They've got like a global kitchen, which is varying levels of success, but they try hard, I think, to cater to a lot of people. And they've got like this thing called pure downing, which doesn't have any of the allergens or something like that. They've got loads of options. It's a really good haul.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I really rate it when like calls are actually wanting to improve their food and they respond to what the students actually want instead of giving like I've heard so many colleges now that just have really naff food, mainly because they just don't cater very well for vegans and veggies now, which is just so relevant. I mean, I don't know. I have quite a few friends who have like different dietary requirements and it's just naff when they can't eat in hall. Um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, can you talk about like your favorite meal in hall and your least favorite? Do you have any specifics?
Um, Downing does really nice desserts. I remember in first year I had this like it was called like a lemon posset, and it was amazing. It's like the best thing I've ever
Oh, yeah,
tasted.
yeah.
They also do loads of like sweet potato fries. I really like sweet potato fries.
No
Yeah, I know.
way. Oh my,
You're
that's so
right.
good.
Yeah, it's really good. They have this like salmon thing as well. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I've got a lot of favorites. I don't think I can remember them all.
And what's formal hall like then at Downing? Is that a bit different? What are the meals like that?
It's nice. I think it's more like stable than other colleges. It's not like amazing, but they mostly make quite nice and edible food, which apparently isn't the case across the board.
Really?
It,
What's that?
I've heard that at other colleges it's just not that nice,
Mm.
and which is a shame because you pay. It's a good deal. Formal is like £10 for Downing members, and you get 3 courses. And on Wednesday they add an extra course, which is always nice.
No way.
Yeah, like a palate cleanser, like a sorbet or something. You feel really posh eating it.
I would say that's a pretty standard price. I know some colleges do it for like 6 or 7, but then again,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe at Oxford, I'm not too sure about Cambridge though. So I think £10 is quite standard price. And what about drinking for that? Can you bring your own wine or do they serve that?
At some they serve it, but mostly you just bring your own. You pay a pound for corkage, so a pound for like being for the privilege of bringing your own wine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's pretty standard as well, I think.
Can you like remember your favorite formal home in particular, like with your mates?
Uh, there's so many. There's so many to cast my mind back through. They do quite a nice pink week formal where all the food is pink. I remember that quite clearly. They had like duck, and then they had like raspberry sorbet and cheesecake at the end. I don't remember, like beetroot starter or something. That was quite fun. Yeah, I can't really remember, but because I used to be in choir, we used to get free formals every Sunday. So I've just been to so many that I don't remember.
Oh, that's such a benefit. So, I mean, what's the choir like at Downing? Can you talk a bit about that? Like, what other perks do you get being
It's
in the
quite nice. I quit in my third year, but for the first 2 years I was a choral scholar, so I got an annual like
choir?
stipend. Is that how you pronounce it? Stipend. Um,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. And I got free formal every Sunday, which is for all members of the choir. You don't have to be a scholar, and you go on cool trips. You go on tour every year. This year they were meant to go to Scandinavia, I think, but obviously it was cancelled. Last year we went to Budapest and another town in Hungary that I can't remember the name of. And the year before we went to Vermont in Canada, which was really cool. That was like a long trip, and it's really heavily subsidized. Like we went to Canada and Vermont for like £400 for like 14 days. So really, really good, really
Wow.
good deal.
Is that including like flights and accommodation?
Yeah.
No way. That is so good. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
can you talk a bit more about that? Like, how did you find those trips?
Really fun. It's really nice to be able to go away with uni friends and for so cheap as well. And you do like performances, and you get to choir is another one of those things where you get to meet people from other years, and it's not just Downing people who do it, so people come from other colleges to be in Downing choir,
Okay.
and it's a really great experience. I really enjoyed it.
So is it quite a well-known choir then? Cambridge one?
No, I think it's one of the more chill ones, but I think it's good, like at a really good standard considering how little practicing we do. So just good deal again.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so kind of moving away from that, can we talk a bit about the bar? Like what's Downing Bar like? And I don't know what events are held there. Do you have your bops in there? And like, is there anything else organized?
Downing Bar is really nice. It's a real social hub. It's the same space as the cafe. So during the day it's the cafe, and then after like 8 it is the bar.
Hmm.
We have a room below the bar where we have our ents usually, and our ents are well, they're our version of bops, and they
Yeah.
are getting better. They didn't used to be very good, but they are getting better. Um, we do some open mic nights sometimes. I was BME officer, so that stands for Black and Minority Ethnic Officer. So I represented kind of non-white people at Downing, and I organised a BME open mic night in Downing Bar, which was really nice. It's a really nice atmosphere because it's always buzzing. There's always people there, and you can go there like any night if you're not feeling going out, but you want to just relax with your friends in the evening. You'll find someone there, and the drinks are pretty cheap. I don't think they're the cheapest, but I think it's like a £2.50 pint, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, to be fair. That's,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty standard. So
Yeah.
can you talk a bit more about your bops? Why were they not so good maybe when you started at Downing, and why are they better now?
I think, I don't know, I think it's maybe quite a small space and there wasn't that much effort put into them because it was just the bar. So it didn't feel like a kind of dancey,
Yeah.
clubby vibe. But I think recently our ENTS officer, so the people who organise the ENTS, self-explanatory, they put a lot more effort in and they've managed to raise more money. We had a bop for an ENT for LGBT History Month in a different room, which was really good. That was really cool. And we got like drag queens to perform, and that was really cool.
That's so sick. That's so
That
sick.
one is probably the best one that Downing's put on. But they usually they're usually fine because your friends are there, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you've got a good college spirit, then
Yeah.
usually they end up being fun, even if they're bad. Like, it's not really about that. So
exactly.
yeah, you mentioned being like BAME officer. How have you found being a BAME student at Downing?
I think variable because I came from London from a grammar school which was quite quite diverse, and Cambridge as a space is not the most diverse. Downing has Downing, I think, is probably average, is probably representative of Cambridge colleges in general. It is sometimes difficult, but it's been okay, and it's been really helpful to have India Soc. So I'm Indian. It's been helpful to have India Soc outside of college to kind of have a space, a safe space almost. It's not that I've never suffered from any like racial abuse within college, but it can sometimes feel like an overwhelmingly white space. But there are loads of people you can go to. So we've got BME offices and societies outside of Cambridge, outside of Downing. So we've got like the KUSU, the Student Union BME campaign, and Fly, which is a network for women of colour, and Fuse, which is a network for LGBT people of colour. So there's lots of resources if you ever feel overwhelmed, because I do think that is the case when you come to either Oxford or Cambridge. It does sometimes feel a little bit white, but there are, it's not unmanageable, like it's fine.
Definitely. I think that's an issue that the university just in general, both of them, Oxbridge, just have to tackle and improve and like really strive to improve. But yeah,
Yeah.
being said, I think it sounds like Downing does have pretty good support. I think if you know if you have an international kitchen even in hall, like that makes things a bit more
Yeah.
comfortable for people who are coming from different backgrounds. And yeah, maybe can you talk about like the support that you received from the BME officers before you were one yourself?
So we had a BME buddy like system. So we didn't have it when I was a fresher, but the officers before me implemented this thing, which linked BME freshers who wanted a kind of mentor in college to someone in second year or third year who could kind of help them if everything got a bit too much at any point. So I was a mentor, and that's just a quite nice thing to have. You don't have to sign up to be either a mentee or a mentor, but it is nice to have that in place. And they have like drop-in sessions. I've never been to one, but I've like held them, and that's always really nice. We ran some discussion groups on sensitive subjects like cultural appropriation, which helped the white people to understand like what it is and what it means, and I think that kind of thing is quite helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's something that I kind of wish I had at my college. I just think it's so relevant to encourage people to go to workshops and to just discussions and things like that. Just not only to like, I don't know, promote diversity, but also inclusivity within college. I think that's so important. Yeah, thanks so much. That's very insightful. Thank you so much for providing such an insightful look into Downing College. You've given me like a lot of information that can be put out there and that I can work with. So yeah, thanks so much for your time.
I'm glad to help.
I was
And good luck to anyone watching this.